Welcome, ladies and gents. Welcome, everybody. Good to see everyone on the call today. Issa and Jay, we got some of our assistant managers hopping on here as well. By the way, Issa and Jay, you guys aren't required to be on here, but would love to have you here if you want. So this is just the AMI onboarding call. So if you feel like there's other things you got to do, you can feel free to do them, or you can hang out with us. No worries. So y'all's calling that one. Welcome, Van Troy. Welcome, Ethan. Welcome, Johan. Welcome, John. Welcome, Bea, Miles, Sean. Are we missing anybody here before we get started? Let me take a photo and post it into the AM team chat. Okay. Ladies and gents, we're going to get rocking and rolling. I want to go ahead and start off, number one, by officially congratulating everyone on your assistant manager intern promotions. This is an exciting meeting for a couple different reasons, but I'm excited. A lot of you all I met at an SLDM just a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, some of y'all maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago. And, we talked about, hey, there's going to be some opportunities coming up. There's going to be some promotions. There's going to be some people that will step up, emerge from the group, and will be recognized, at our summer conference one event. And, there was lots of people that were excited about it. I got a lot of text messages from people that were looking to earn it. And you all are the people that actually did it. You guys are the ones that made the statement and made the cut. And so, my strong encouragement to you all today is, separating yourself is kind of like the best way I could explain it. It's like, when you're in high school and, you could take honors classes, and that kind of sort of separates you, but only a little bit. The best people are taking AP classes. The best are getting fives on those AP classes and, are on those AP test scores. And the people that separate themselves in high school, they get into better universities. Right. And the people that separate themselves and those universities usually go on to separate themselves in their GPA averages and, go on to continue to separate themselves into the job market and so forth and so forth. And so separating yourself initially is just taking one little step, outside of the rest of the group. Maybe it's get on to our key staff. It does not necessarily guarantee that you're going to be in TLA or that you're going to have a lot of future opportunities, but it does mean you are headed in the right direction. And typically I like to think if you can start to separate yourself just a little bit from the rest of the pack and the rest of the peer group at events, at conferences on these, by earning spots like assistant manager, intern promotions, you'll continue to separate yourself long-term, and that just opens up a whole lot of doors. So I want to start off by just giving you guys props on being accepted, not only through leading the way through your personal sales in your offices and organizations. Some of you all, it's been your team building efforts, and everyone, if you're here, has done a great job of just being a positive role model for the rest of your office and organization and leading from the front. Let me check Mike. Yep, she's here. Let me go ahead and admit her in. So I want to start off by saying, number one, just congratulations. It's well deserved. It's well earned. And, this is the first step. The first step at opening up some more serious, long-term opportunities, in my opinion. And it's great because it's going to give you guys a little bit of a taste of what some of the behind the scenes, behind the curtain stuff happens inside of your office and organizations. And some of you all are big teams. Some of you are like the team, right now in your office, and you have a phenomenal opportunity to help kind of build and grow that organization over the next couple of weeks and next few months during the summertime too. Mike, any additional thoughts before we dive in here?
Yeah, I just want to commend all of you and congratulate you all again. I mean, SC1 push was a great time. It was a great testament. It was a great foundation for all of you. And now it's like, cool, what's next? And people say, well, what is key staff? Well, key staff is just literally a sales rep who just does the job they're supposed to do. They clock in, they do their consistent appointments, they do what they're supposed to do. What is an assistant manager intern? It's a key staff member who does what they're supposed to do, but then we give them just a taste of some of the other items outside of just selling Cutco. So yeah, I could totally. What I'd like to do is I ran this meeting last year around this time for Mr. Eric Garcia when he was new, and you just saw Eric Garcia get recognized as the MVP of our division. Mm-hmm. So I told Andrew I said, hey, we could put a whole new meeting together and we could craft it. But I said, I rewatched this video that I recorded from last year to kind of show you what the expectations are of what I did with Eric. And if he's the MVP of this summer, why don't we just play the same video instead of trying to recreate it? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to have all of you guys, post your light bulbs in the chat box as I'm facilitating this video, and have pen and paper out as well, so you can take some notes. Then we're going to debrief the video, and we'll pass things on over back to Andrew. But I think it would be appropriate for us to just make sure that you're equipped and understanding of exactly like what the role entails and what we're looking to get accomplished. And I think this video encompasses that fully. You might have watched it already. If you did, you're an overachiever, and that's why you're here. I've watched it 2 times myself. So, and each time I drew something else out of it. So So I'm going to play this. I'm going to put it on for you, and I'm going to start at the 1 minute mark just to it essentially says the 1 minute mark. Everything before the 1 minute mark says everything I just said. So, so let me go ahead. I'll share my screen. So here we go. This is a fun conversation, and I never thought that I would have this conversation with someone so new. I mean, for a couple of you, Eric just 2 weeks, Chris and Sophia just maybe 4 weeks into the job now. So pretty exciting. So I'm going to dig right in. With our office is growing at a very rapid pace. We've anticipated this, and we have 2 choices. We could either just work with what we got, and if we lose business, we lose business, or we continue to build and continue to add, but develop more people to help us sustain and manage the growth that we're experiencing. And obviously, well, you know what I'm thinking, and that's why we're having this conversation right now. I want to start off by making sure that you're aware of what the expectations are of an assistant manager. I had a conversation with Eric Garcia, and he's just like, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited to help, but I want to still sell. Well, the expectation is assistant managers sell. In fact, if they don't sell, they're not on my staff. So this is the spring semester. Cassidy, assistant manager. Jessica, assistant manager. Caitlin, assistant manager. Amanda, assistant manager. And Ashley is an assistant manager intern. The expectation is that assistant managers lead with sales. So it's not a question of do they sell. The question is they must sell. And how much will they sell? Because they need to lead by example. So the first staff expectation is consistent with selling. I don't need them to be the #1 sales rep in the office. I do need them to be a human trophy, because here's what happens. When an assistant manager sells, they're at a higher percentage as far as commission goes. So when an assistant manager sells and they're at 20, 25, 30% commission, they sell $1,500 for the week. And if they only do 5 or 6 appointments, well, they're making, as far as income goes, off of their personal sales, like $50 an appointment, $60 an appointment. And you notice every team meeting, I talk about how much money people are making per appointment, right? So I want to be able to promote more people that are making $50, $60, $70 an appointment. And obviously that human trophy is critical. So that way we have people that are new saying, why am I so excited about $15 base pay? I don't want to be excited about base pay. I want to be, instead of 15, I want to make 50. And if Eric's doing it, all right, let me learn from Eric on how to get $50 an appointment. So by having a human trophy, people that are making $50, $60, $80, $100 an appointment, it is critical to move the business in the direction that we want to build, right? So leaders lead, very critical, consistent sales. Now I know 1 or 2 of you might be thinking, it's like, well, Mike, man, my sales have actually been kind of like a roller coaster. It hasn't been that consistent. I've been up, I've been down, but we believe that we can get you to be consistent with the proper coaching that would come, that we give all of our assistants. In fact, most of you, if not all of, or at least I know the guys are all being coached by Doug. And, I just brought in Gina as a consultant too, as a coach. And more than likely, she's going to be starting to work with Sophia and Cecilia here in the next couple of days. And, she was a national champion Cutco manager. So these are people that have moved on from Cutco, but I brought them in. It's almost like retired, they're like the retired athletes that I'm bringing back to, help our rookies, but that's just a testament to, by the way, to me as a district manager, that
I've had built great relationships with people being in the business so long that people are wanting to come back to help us with our mission. And like, that's awesome. So just know that we have leadership in place to help you be consistent if that's a concern, but that is an expectation. It's not a hope. Like it will not be long lasting worth you working behind the scenes if you're not selling Cutco. You got to keep selling. That's job number one. The other expectation, as far as what the team needs, is really with under the umbrella of consistent selling, is just consistent activity. 5 calls every day. We have the hashtag small actions daily. 5 calls a day. We don't need you to sit down and make 25 calls a day unless you want to, but we need as managers to be able to pull up queue at any point in time, take a screenshot of it, and show that there's some sort of activity on the queue. So that way I have human trophies to say, hey, people are giving effort. So even if it's all assistant managers, it doesn't matter. It creates the buzz because most people don't like to make phone calls. Oh my God, what a revelation. So we need to inspire the desire for them to make phone calls by saying, hey, if you want to be a leader, you want to make these big paychecks, you want to do great things, this is what the leaders do. And we have human trophies doing activity every day, 5 calls, but at least there's some sort of activity. And ideally those calls are in the morning. Ideally it's to start the day, sometime between 8 and 9, 8 and 10, somewhere in that range where it's just like to start the day, crank out 5 calls, which is going to help you, but it's also going to help inspire the team. That's under the umbrella of what we need. What else is expectation of a consistent of a staff expectation is helping with team building. As far as team building right now, our team is growing so rapidly. So we obviously love building our team. I know Eric recommended his friend Felicia, and she's doing great. I know Chris, you have your friend Vito on the team right now. I know Eric, a lot of your friends are all over the country, so it's tough to build in the Tampa Bay area. But we love to build our team with more people that are like so building our team, whether it be, even if it's something as simple as just posting the stuff that I post on the team meeting, the group chat of like, hey, put that triple threat post up, or putting us in 3-way text, or helping us build a team. Some sort of team building is critical, whether that's setting people up for interviews, or sending out text messages to set people up for interviews, or calling people to set them up, or posting on social media, like something that helps us build a team with good people. Because fact is we have so much advertising out there right now, and we have so many people that could be set up for interviews. We could use help with getting them set up. Now I have a staff of people that are doing it, but I just want to make sure that that's an expectation as well, that there is that team builder mindset of like, let's build the biggest and baddest team, in the country. That is an expectation. And the last one is real simple, is be a positive role model. Be a positive role model. Positive attitude, be responsible, high communication, show up prepared. Positive attitude, the staff, who you're working with. The most positive people, I call on them at a team meeting and they'll just go on a whole rant on how awesome things are, right? Even if they're dealing with some shit behind the scenes in their personal life, no one would ever know. Being responsible, well, they get their job done. If they have a deadline to meet, they meet the deadline. They're prompt. They, if I say, hey, I need these people talked to by this time and I need recaps from each of them, they get that to me. They're responsible. They get their stuff done. If they say they're going to make their phone calls, they make their phone calls. If they say they're going to set up people for interviews, they set up people for interviews. They just are very prompt. They're responsible. And that's critical. They say they're going to show up for a workshop, they show up for the workshop. They say they're going to run a workshop, they run the workshop, right? They're very responsible. They're people of their word. As far as communication, that's everything to me. That's everything to me. I cannot operate the business if people don't communicate. And I'm in all the chats that you're in, so I can see how responsive you are. And there's been a couple instances where maybe it takes a little longer than I'd like for a response to come in. I know you're busy, but here's my thing. I know how many times the average kid looks at their cell phone. The average person looks at their cell phone 100 times a day. Pick up their phone 100 times a day. So all I'm asking is, within like a few hours, could we get a response? A few hours. If it gets lost in like all the chats, pin it to the top, swipe right, pin it to the top, so that way your chat with your coaches don't get lost, right? Just making sure that we're on high communication. Stats group, clocking in before 10 a.m. There's we got a end of day report by 11. Leaders lead. You want to be like the first people to do that stuff. And the last one, of course, is show up prepared. And that doesn't mean show up on time. That's understood. If you're running a meeting, if you're showing up for a meeting, show up on time. That's understood. It's showing up prepared. I love when I hopped on the Zoom and I already saw Sophia and Eric with his pen and her ready to take some notes. Like, that's awesome. If I can show up and they're already on here ready to learn, that's showing up, not just showing up on time, that's showing up prepared. That's great. And that's the expectation that we have of all of our staff members to set the tone for anyone else that's about to join a meeting. But showing up prepared to learn any workshop, because you're the leaders, assistant managers, they're the leaders, they're the front, they're the captains of the team. And whatever anyone else on the team sees them do, they deem acceptable. And then they do it 10 times worse. So if an assistant manager clocks in at 10:02, then that gives everyone permission to clock in after 10. Then we see them coming at like noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. It's like, are you even showing up for the day? It's already 2. You're not clocking in. Are you clocking in for tomorrow? Your day early? Like, what are you doing? Right. All right. So those are the expectations. Real simple stuff. Our weekly focus, as far as an assistant manager staff, these are the 3 things that we focus on every week. We focus on getting people human set PRs. What the hell is that? That is people personally setting up others for interviews. We need to set up 220 people for interviews each week. In order to get 100 people set for training that we hire, we need to set 220 of them for interviews each week. So kind of like, think about this term. How many demos do you need to set up in order for you to get as many sales that you want? That's kind of how it is. We must set up over double the amount of people for interviews that we actually want to hire. So it's kind of like you setting up double the amount of people for demos that you actually want to complete the demos for. And then we want to drive 100 demos every day. We want to create 100 new demos, at least 100 new demos every day. These are the 3 things that my assistant managers work on behind the scenes each day. So not like you have a big 3 that you like your big 3 of like make 5 phone calls, send out my Facebook messages, get a Facebook post. This is what my management staff, these are the 3 metrics that they work on behind the scenes each day. Now, how to get there? Well, that's why we're having this conversation, because we need some help moving some of this. And some of that means lightening the load of what my assistants are doing so they can do a better job at those 3 things. So that doesn't necessarily mean that I need you to do those 3 things, but I might need you to offset some of the things that they're doing so they can do those things at a higher level. So hopefully that makes sense. Our mission this summer is, we think we could do $1 million in business this summer. We talked about it yesterday. We think we can do $1 million. We want to develop 30 leadership academies, candidates. We're going to provide over 350 jobs, which I think is a low number. I think we provide more. And I'll talk about this at the team meeting, but we talked about this. This is the number that we need to move. Now, I don't know if this is going to go over your head or not, but I'm going to explain it to you. See, one of the metrics that we have is top 20 for the campaign. So top 20 for the campaign. In the fall, the number 20 representative did $4,000. And we said as a staff, how do we move this number higher? How do we move this number higher? So in the spring, we moved it to 5,500. We did a good job. We went from 4,000 to 5,500, which is solid. But now our question is, how do we move this to 15K? Because there's a metrics that whatever this number is, if you add a certain amount to it, and if you add some zeros and whatever, that's what gives you your campaign to date. That gives you your campaign sales. 15,000 is what the last $1 million office in a summer did. And that was Brian Herman's team in Fairfax, Virginia. They did $1 million for the summer, and their number 20 representatives sold 15,000. They had 14 people do over 20. They had 7 people do over 30, and they had 2 people do over 75 for the summer. So our metrics as management staff, we want to get 30 Leadership Academy members. 30 Leadership Academy members, they have to be at 10K to interview. So we want 20 individuals to be at over 15,000 in sales. In order to do that, we're going to need to set up a lot of people for interviews. How many? 3,000. We're going to need to set up about 3,000 people for interviews in order to have 350 complete training. We'll let 350 people start working with us. And out of those people, including you, by the way, I expect all 5 of you to be in this top 20, along with all my assistant managers to be in this top 20. Because when we have our best people leading, it's going to raise the entire organization's standards. You know the saying, when the tide rises, all the ships in the harbor rise. So essentially, we need more tide, right? We need the tide to rise. Before I transition, what we just talked about, we talked about the expectations. We talked about what assistant managers focus on each week. And we talked about what our main focus is, which is to create sustainable growth in our business, is to get our top 20 to do over 15,000. So that way we have a pool of candidates of over 30 that we could interview for the Leadership Academy. because the Leadership Academy is where next summer, 2021, that's where we get our depth. And if you're a sports fan, that's why the Yankees dominated baseball for so long, is because they had depth. They have what is called their farm team, right? You think about, I hate the Patriots, but if you do use them as an example, if you use them as an example here, they had a guy named Drew Bledsoe, and Drew Bledsoe was really good, and Drew Bledsoe was a great quarterback. And then they had this guy sitting on the bench behind him named Tom Brady, and Drew Bledsoe was great, and Tom Brady was just warming the bench, and then but Drew would work with Tom Brady constantly work with Tom Brady to get him good, so when the moment showed up, he can step into the game. Same thing happened in the Packers. There was this guy named Brett Favre, and Brett Favre was amazing. And then there was this guy on the bench behind Brett Favre named Aaron Rodgers. That's depth. Now, if you don't follow football, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are like two of the best quarterbacks, that ever play the game. And but the point of the story is that Amanda Swanson is not going to be here forever. So we want depth behind Amanda, which is Jessica, right? She's like next in line. And then we want depth underneath Jess. And we want depth which is like Cassidy, and these girls. And then who's under them? It's just create tiers. So that way, if one of them get injured, if someone leaves, if something happens, we have depth where we just like, boom, we drop and reload, or we just are able to continue to grow our organization. And that depth is why we're having this conversation right now. So that way, if we need help, we have it. And we have people that are trained and equipped to step in if we need them to. Now, before I wrap up, I got 10 minutes with specifics of like, all right, these are, let me go through the list. These are the things, because that's the easy stuff. But the more so is the mindset to think like the leadership, to think like the top. Anything show up for any of you that's says that's new information, or that makes sense, or when you said that kind of got me excited, or that was a cool little light bulb, or the way you explained that kind of landed with me. Any of that show up for you?
Well, first off, that guy is very handsome.
So
I know y'all were thinking that the whole time. I was like, man, this guy is
it's hard to focus. Like,
yeah. So, Andrew, I hopefully that's cool that we led with the video, and I'd love to debrief a little bit with them. But.
Yeah, first thing I love to do is I love to go around the horn and hear from some of you all. I have some thoughts from that I definitely want to echo, but love to hear from you guys. What are you noticing? What's giving you clarity or confidence, or just what stood out to you?
Hello.
You guys can raise your electronic blue hand, raise your hand, or just unmute. You got it, Sean.
So I like the idea about the depth, because like that analogy with the football, it's the same thing with this, because you always need backup. Someone gets hurt, and also people are going to rise up, people are going to leave. So it's important to have like a young generation that's coming up and rising.
Yeah. Something I'll even echo with that too is just, and this is not, a lot of things that we'll talk about, a lot of the things that you'll learn as an AMI are just really going to set you up for a long-term opportunity here as a paid assistant, as a branch, as a district manager, CSP, as other opportunities inside of Cutco or beyond Cutco. One of the big things that I've taken in my life is just that when you're on the train and one person hops off the train, and if you're in the right spot and you've been showing up to that train every single day, you move up on that train. A lot of my career, even at Cutco, has been because of something like that. I'm living in Miami, Florida now, literally because of that reason. Because one day I was supposed to run an office in Boca Raton, and someone else was no longer on the train, and they said, "Hey, Andrew, Miami's open. You're the next guy for it. Do you want it?" And I was like, yeah. I was in a team of assistant managers where actually a couple of the assistant managers quit all at the same time one time. And all of a sudden, I remember Jeff Gamboa, who was my division manager at the time, came over to me and said, "Hey, do you want a pay raise? You want to bump up? Do you want some more leadership responsibility?" And I was the right guy for the right time. So I think it's all about opening opportunities, and what you're doing through that is either learning more and growing yourself and, just setting yourself up for your own way, or when something else opens, you're the right guy, you're the right gal, for that job, because you're already trained and prepared for it. Right, you're ready for the opportunity when the opportunity arises. Thanks for chiming in, Sean. Let's go to Johan, and then we'll go to Joan.
Something big for me, especially what was like hit in the video, was consistency. It's because of course you can have your breakout moments, but it's what can you do even in your off moments It's like how good or consistent can you be with your results?
Right. So like this week, everyone just came off the SC1 high, right? And it's like, cool. So are you going to, and maybe it doesn't mean like if you sold, all right, cool, I was going out and selling 5 or 6 grand, for SC1, maybe you're not selling that this week, maybe, but are you selling $1,000? Like, are you still consistent with your results? By the way, raise your hands if like you didn't quite have the SC1 that you were planning on having. Cool, which is I think most people, yeah. So there's an opportunity here, even then. So of like, hey, cool. How do I develop more consistent habits? So like, I'm now selling more after SE1 coming out of the push than I was when I was pushing and trying to go after even a bigger goal. Love that. Let's go to John, and we'll go to Van Troy.
For me, a big part of like what kind of stuck out to me, and it was more at the beginning, but we're talking all about like the consistency of selling, the consistency of communication, consistency with the calls, or just consistency. And saying that 3 times, I started tripping up on that a little bit. But I mean, there's a bunch of great stuff, but it's hard to consistently say consistently.
That's correct.
But it's just the fact that how important it is, and even if like a schedule might be a little bit different day to day, because you might have a demo at 7 one day, 3 at the other, whenever, it just making sure that like the things that you can keep consistent, that you can take control of, being your when you make your calls, when you do your clock in, when you do this, that, and the other, it just makes a huge difference.
John, I love that you said that, because a lot of times when we hear consistency, people think about consistent results, right? Performance. And I do want you guys to have consistent performance. If you're in this group, you should be consistently performing. This is a group for performers. But the most important thing is when we say consistency, is consistency in the actions. Because you might have an off week. You might have a week where you don't sell $1,000. The question is, were you consistent with the actions that you take? Because that's the thing, is when you're consistent with the actions, like you said, the phone calls, or how many demos I'm doing per week, or when I show up to meetings, or how I show up, like those, you might have a epic week, you might have an off week. But if you're consistent with the actions over a month, it's going to average out. You're going to have a solid month at least, right? And so that's what it really comes down to, is like being consistent with the actions, which I'm really glad you echoed that, John. Van Troy, and then we'll wrap up things here.
Sorry about that. Hey, yeah, my system logged in. So what I wanted to alliterate was the servant leadership, because if you want to show people what the job's supposed to be like, you have to do it first. And in order to do it, consistent results, or not even results, consistent actions, as you guys were just talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the analogy I give people is like, this is not being, when you get promoted to an AMI role, or just as an assistant manager. AMI, think about it this way. You're like the starters on the team. As an assistant manager, you're the captain of the team. You're not the coach. Okay. Meaning like the coach is standing on the sidelines, shouting out, telling people what to do. The captains are there playing the game. Imagine if you were playing a game and like the captains like walked off the field and just started shouting orders at everybody else. Like the way that you lead as a captain or as a starter is by being number first. You become the best player on the team. Like you work out, like no one cares what you have to say during practices, but the way that you encourage and lead the others is like working harder than everyone else in practice, right? Doing more laps, doing the extra mile, right? Putting a little bit more energy and effort than everyone else is, scoring a couple more points than everyone else is. That's really how you be the leader. And then guess what? When you start to say things, it influences people more so because they've seen you do it and they know that like it's coming from actions and from a place of confidence. Versus like, imagine if like you're playing on a team and like, all right, so-and-so, you're the captain now. And he goes, perfect. And he walks off the field and he's just like, all right, you guys got it. Like, do this better, do that, So the way you always lead is from the front, from example first. And so I love that you shared that, Van Troy. Any other last thoughts before we wrap things up here? Mike, anything else you want to echo, as or hit on additionally before I'll have a couple quick thoughts of like what we want to do coming out of this meeting. But
yeah, if you watch the rest of the video, there's a few extra minutes that I'll talk about. Like, essentially you're right now in a learning position, but if you do it well enough, we'll pay you to do it. And the pay, it's not about the money, but it's kind of cool to get paid for your leadership. So essentially you'll get paid to you might make an extra couple $1,000. It's nothing crazy. It's not like winning the lottery, but at the end of the summertime, you might have an extra 1 or 2 or 3 grand there for your work that takes place in July, because ultimately July is our largest sales month of the year. So if you do the right things over the next couple of weeks, you're in the front line to earn a paid assistant manager position for July. And a paid assistant manager position is, again, everything you're already doing, but you're doing it well enough to get paid to do it. And then you might have, like I said, maybe an extra 1 or 2 grand, enough to buy a laptop at the end of the summertime. But more importantly, it'll be enough to start your withholdings account, where you can start saving and building wealth. Because if you do get in a leadership academy, we'll teach you how to make your first Roth IRA investment, or we'll teach you how to, invest into invest. Maybe we might even talk about cryptocurrency this time around. Who knows? So
Crash course.
Yeah, a little crash course in crypto. So that's more Andrew's, maybe 4X. We'll see. Never know. But we're going to teach you some really great tools. So that capital that you get is literally just getting paid to learn, and it's a good opportunity. So it's not for everyone. Not every single one of you are going to get like a paid position, but you will learn a ton in this role for sure, just even if it's over the next couple of weeks. So we're not looking for a lot of time from you. We just want you to, for some of you, hey, it's just going to be a good learning experience for right now around your other endeavors. For a couple of you, you're like, shit, this is the only thing I got going on. I'm all in, Mike. Put me in, coach. Great. Andrew has a couple of upcoming events that you could sign up for you to like go right into it and start training. And you could start training and start developing those skills. So that way, when SC2 push rolls around and when the month of July rolls around, shoot, you're on deck. Bam, you're ready to get promoted. Because I know in my office, Eric and Deanna, they're getting ready to sell, and we need to free them up for them to be able to sell. So we got to kind of lighten their load for the office, so that way we can make sure we're not compromising results when our 2 all-stars go out into the field and start selling Cutco too. So that's my thought.
Yeah, most definitely. So re-echoing a couple of things that Mike said. I mean, we'll talk about this probably at the next event, but if any of you guys want to get head started and want to start just standing out a little bit more, as well as also just, some great financial tips. I don't usually give these people when they're first in the job, but if you start selling and you're start making some good money, I really highly recommend, setting up a withholdings account, which is just a way that you can kind of have some mandatory savings that are put away for you. It's just one of those great financial tips that anyone that has made a lot of money and successfully kept it or invested it we'll tell you about just the idea of forced withholdings or forced savings from your paycheck. So that's something that you can set up for free, with the company, and it's an option that every single one of our managers and assistant managers is on too. So something to either keep in mind for the future, or if you're like, hey, I'm already making some money, I would like to start knowing what to do with this. That's something you can talk to, Mike or whoever your respective manager is about getting set up, and we can help you out with that. So I will say too, here's my goal, ladies and gents, is, we promoted, a round of assistant manager interns at SC1. At SC2 kickoff meeting, okay, which is in about 3 weeks from now, we're going to do the same thing. At SC2, we'll do the same thing again. We're going to promote a new round of assistant manager interns. My objective is that when we promote some new AMIs, our current AMIs are getting promoted to paid assistant manager roles. That's my objective, is that, that's happening. Now that won't happen for everybody. And I'll just tell you guys that this is an opportunity to already just increase your resume, to have some really great learning opportunities, and you'll get what you put out of it, or you'll get what you put into it. Meaning if you want to go all out and you want to invest, 10, 15, 20 hours a week of really learning and diving in and seeing the behind the scenes, you can do that. And also, if you just want to be like the team captain, just have a leadership role, get some extra resume experience, and maybe set yourself up for some future long-term opportunities without doing a whole lot outside of what you do right now, you can do that too. Just continue to lead the way through example with your personal sales, and maybe you start taking some people on your appointments with you, taking some people field training, or maybe, it's just, doing a couple extra things in the office here too. Now, as far as actual responsibilities go, and I will forward out these documents into the group chat, so you all have access to all of them. But you know, the main responsibilities, if you want to write these down, they were covered in the video here as well. Okay, but I'll send this congratulatory letter to everyone as we're wrapping up here. Main responsibilities, okay, is you know, sell $1,000 a week, keep being on the newsletter and hitting consistency. You also want to start taking a couple people on your appointments, right? So this is something called field training. Has anyone in here already done some field training? Cool. This is a really cool opportunity where someone can go on and watch, like you guys watched Mike's demo yesterday. That was field training. Mike took all of you all field training. Okay. So you could actually do that for new reps, right? And you might not be, you know, maybe not everything in your demo is perfect, but I can promise if you're performing, your demo is a lot better than what some people are doing. You know, so taking some of the new reps, sometimes I remember literally, guys, I'll just tell you this for my experience. I never even sold my first set. And all I needed to do was just to see one person do it. And I was like, oh, it's that easy. And then I went on my first field training. I watched this girl sell a homemaker set to a single dude, which everyone knows that's like, you know, you shouldn't even see single dudes, but he did it and she was like cake. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll take that one. And I was like, what? Is it really that easy? And then all of a sudden from there, I could sell sets like nothing. I just needed the confidence boost, you know? So it's just, hey, taking a couple people underneath your wing, they can hop on your appointments. You make them, you know, mute out, they can stop the video, or they could be on it too, if they want, but they don't say anything. They just kind of hang out in the background, watch, witness, you do your thing and you just rock your appointment, you know? So a couple field trainings per week. And then the last thing is PR setting. Okay. So, you know, all of our assistant managers, if you're an assistant manager in the office, one of the team building activities they do, they'll help set up personal recruits for our interviews. So, you know, when you have friends that are interested in the job, an assistant manager is typically the one calling those people and getting them scheduled for an interview. So our assistant managers are sending anywhere from 10, 15, 20, some of them like 30, 40 a week, like Eric and Deanna, they're crushing it. Your obligation is just set up 5, which by the way, to do that, my recommendation is you can do them anytime that you would like, but I would just recommend show up a little bit earlier on Wednesdays or Sundays. Pick one. Usually Sundays is the best. So most of y'all, your meeting starts at 6 o'clock for your PSP or your paycheck meeting. So just come at like 5 o'clock or 4:30 or 4 o'clock on Sunday, and we'll help you do a little bit of activity. So outside of the normal schedule, it's only an hour or 2 of extra obligations. And that's really just, hey, start setting 5 PRs. And like Mike said, it's like, hey, we only have you set 5, but that way you can start to get practice. And if you're good, we can go, hey, we want you at a paid role to do this, you know, and we can promote you to that, you know, whether that be in 2 weeks from now, or that be, you know, 2 months from now, you're starting to learn the basis of that too. So as well. So that's the only thing. So there's only one obligation outside of like doing what you're doing right now and just continuing to do it at a high level and leading the way, which will be PR setting. So this Saturday, if you guys want to put this down in your notes, this Saturday, our divisional SMRA manager, Alex Arias, will be running a PR calling workshop, okay, from Saturday from 10 to 12. So this is, I mean, most of you all did not have this in your calendars and planners ahead of time. So if there's no way you can make it, that's totally okay. We can find another time. However, I would recommend, there will be one the following Saturday, but my goal would be like to get you all started in your roles as soon as possible. You know, so the ideal scenario would be that, hey, you can come on Saturday, 10 to 12, you'll feel really well prepared and trained. And then Sunday, you could try even practice setting up your first few PRs, you know, with your respective manager. Once you learn how to do it, you don't need any more training. There'll be probably some ongoing conversations, but once you learn how to do it, you'll be good. If you can't make it Saturday, 10 to 12, that is okay. But talk to your manager because they're going to have to find another time to kind of like train you and teach you some of the stuff. And the last thing is like, after you learn how to PR call, there's a whole, almost kind of like if anyone here ever plays video games and you have like levels of things, okay, you've got like a manager levels checklist. So there's all different things that you can kind of learn how to do. The first one is PR calling. Okay. But you could learn how to, hey, how do you accept someone during an interview? Right. You can learn about our SMRA program and hop into our social media recruiting assistant program. You can learn about PDI and how do we coach our representatives. You can learn, you know, support by, hey, I've already got all my demos booked up, Mike, for tonight's phone jam. I've already got 10 ahead of me. Can I help you run the phone jam tonight? Can I help drive the culture and the energy and the music? You know, you could eventually learn how to run an interview or do one-on-ones with representatives. You can learn how to, we run our Wednesday and Sunday meetings. You can learn how to run, you know, some of a portion or a whole talk in advanced training. You can learn how to run the training. So there's lots of different things that you can learn how to do. And these are things that can seriously upgrade your resume. And also, like, I'll just tell you, none of this stuff, you got to learn this one first as an AMI. but none of this stuff is required. So you can be an AMI, just be a leader, positive role model, continue to sell. Does that mean you'll get promoted to be an assistant manager? I don't know for sure, but you can continue to stay in that role. So this is not an expectation, but I will tell you, if you're excited about building up your resume, or if you like if someone's like, hey, to Mike's point, hey, we lost someone else on our roster, meaning they got promoted or they got asked to leave or they quit or something happened or they moved across the country, whatever, something, for some reason, they're not in that position or role anymore, and I look at this and I've got 3 AMIs in my office, like, I see someone that's already like, oh, this person's already watched half this stuff. Of course, easy decision. I'm going to put them into the role. When I'm doing TLA interviews at the end of the summer and I go through and I see someone like, all right, you've already done some of the stuff I'm going to teach in TLA. You've already watched it. It makes it a lot more like a no-brainer decision for me too. So don't feel like I don't want anyone to be like, oh my gosh, this role is extra work, but you have an opportunity to get more out of than other people have access to right now. So first step, by the way, is always to watch it. So you always watch it first. Okay. Your manager checks off on it. Step number 2 is to maybe do it yourself. Then you watch another one. Then the manager watches you run it, right? And they can give you some additional feedback there too. So you guys have this checklist, and I will also send that into the group chat here as well. And then again, just check in with your immediate manager on Saturday. That workshop is from 10 to 12. So just make sure you double check with them if they have any, if you have an obligation that you can't make it to that, then let them know. And so you can find another time to do that. I have a couple last minute thoughts. Here's what I do want to do. Everyone I'm going to take a quick photo. So everyone smile here. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, great, beautiful. That will be in our Phone GM kickoff slides in about 5-10 minutes. And hey, last thing that I'll just say, Mike, do you have any closing thoughts before I wrap up?
Just you're the first wave. You're the first wave for the summer of 2021. So, forgive us if we make some changes, along the way, and forgive us if we, just understand that you are the first wave for 2021 summer, and therefore it might be a little messy. It might be a little messy, and that's okay. Okay, and that's okay. We're up and coming. We're still figuring things out. We're still navigating through the uncertainties. We're a fairly new division, and we are looking for leadership. I mean, granted, I've been in the business for 17 summers, but I've only been an assistant division manager for 6 months. So it's like I'm new in my role, but I'm very experienced with the company. So we it might be a little messy, and we're looking for you to just be our eyes and ears. If you're seeing some stuff, what's the saying? See something, say something, right? No, but if you're seeing some stuff that you're like, hey, Mike or Andrew, I think this might be a little bit better, or, have you thought about doing it this way? Or, I noticed this might be a little bit more fun, or this can make it a little bit more engaging. Like we're open to that feedback from you, right? So use that space to share some of your creative thoughts on how we can make the division that much better, more enjoyable, create more camaraderie, community, more results, and stay on purpose with what we want to get accomplished. Many of you are talented in things outside of Cutco. Let's bring some of that creative juice into our business for those pillars, which is consistent sales or team building or being a positive role model. Don't tell us hey, by the way, I think Cutco should make like razors to shave better, with the double D edge. Like, can we make that shit happen? Can we climb up the ladder? Like, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, hey, there's this really cool social media event happening. Like, could we get involved with that? Like, my school is putting this on. Maybe we could recruit some people from this program, or, like stuff like that. Let's talk. We want to grow this thing.
Love it. Hey, ladies and gents, I want to just say, number one, congratulations again. Well deserved and well earned. And there's still a lot more on the table. The scholarship winners of the summer, SC1 is as much as like the SC1 is really one of the biggest events that we put on. When you all see SC2, it will make kind of SC1 feel like it was a little bit of a joke. Like SC1 was just 2 divisions together. This is a whole region coming together for an event. So, I just think about continue to develop your skills, build long-term habits, be consistent. And then, when does this start? Starts right now. Starts with how you enter into your phone jam tonight. So be the role model that you want to be tonight. Be the leader in your phone jam tonight. and make sure that, you're starting off this week. Like nothing is worse than getting promoted to your role. And then like, that's the week that you like, don't, then you like take a step backwards. Right. So start the consistent habits this week, start the consistent habits this night, tonight in the phone jam. So that's all I got for y'all. Congrats again on being accepted. You'll be now added. Ooh, we should probably talk about the Friday calls. Okay. So this Friday, I do not need you all there because you guys just had this call today. But moving forward, you all will be able to join our assistant manager team on our Friday morning assistant manager calls. Okay. So this take place on Fridays at 9 a.m. So, if you hop on the Champions Club workshop, which is what most of our AMs do, is they'll hop on that from 8:30 to 9. And then, they'll hop on our assistant manager breakout at 9 a.m. So you all don't need to come to this Friday again, because we just ran this meeting as an onboarding call, but the following Friday, we'll send you guys some reminders. But that chat that you're in, by the way, it's not the AMI chat. That's the assistant manager chat. Okay. But so we'll ask for some updates and things like that too. And just know, by the way, sometimes we'll be speaking directly to the assistant managers. And you guys are kind of like CC'd on the message, like copied on them, but we're talking to the AMs, and other times we'll be addressing that whole group. So just stay on top of communication and make sure you're consistent with this week. And let us know about Saturday's training, and we'll be able to rock and roll from there. Have a great evening. Have a great phone jam. We'll see you in the phone jam kickoff. Talk to y'all soon. Post biggest light bulbs in the chat. I'll post the documents. See y'all.